We're back on the X52 podcast presented by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. It is Monday night, December 23rd, Christmas Eve. My name is Jake Louque, and I'm joined by Spenny Claus, rocking his Raven Santa hat here, my friend. We're finally going live. Do a little recap of this Steelers game. We're going to do a little preview of the Texans game. Apologies to all who reached out about the recap on Saturday night. I think we were hoping to make that happen, but it was always kind of an uphill battle. Given that we were all there, we kind of all had a lot going on. It just didn't quite work out timing-wise. But here we are to recap that one. Happy Festivus indeed, Alex Haney. And it's a Festivus miracle because the Ravens slay the dragon. They make it happen. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 34-17 at M&T Bank Stadium. And Spenny, we had talked about this in the preview. It played out pretty much exactly the way I think it would have in our ideal scenario. I think Lamar Jackson, it wasn't like his best game of the season necessarily, but I think he played pretty damn well. Throws for 3 touchdowns, a couple of big-time throws, including a late one to Zay Flowers at the end. A little bit of a head-scratching interception, but essentially all that served to do was set up the play of the game, potentially the play of the year, and certainly the play of the year on defense. Marlon Humphrey hoovering up the ball away from Russell Wilson, who just tosses him an easy pick 6 there, which would wind up being the clincher. What a game. Doesn't quite lock up the AFC North for the Ravens. Obviously, it certainly didn't for the Steelers, who needed it to do so. But here we are. Reaction to the game, my friend. Right off the top, what do you got?
It's what it's what this team is capable of doing, and it was so incredibly special to watch. It was joyful as a Ravens fan to watch that, like we said, it was all the things that we asked for. I mean, if there's a list and you're checking it twice, it was, can you pick up on the Steelers who are finally on your radar? And it felt like for so long, like the Steelers had all these weird things, which we don't need to belabor, but hey, Tyler Huntley's starting here, Robert Griffin's starting there, the backups, this, that, and the other. The Steelers are finally ahead of you. They're on your radar. They beat you. And can you avoid that pit of misery that they drag you into and that the Chiefs drag you into? So I said before the show, if this team wins in convincing fashion and takes care of business, then I think they win the Super Bowl. I frankly do. I think that they win the AFC. I really genuinely do, because what it showed me, the Ravens had the late bye week. They adjusted before that pretty darn well. Everyone's kind of getting to the Kyle Hamilton thing. I want to talk about our Darius Washington a lot on this show and what he's done. In addition, Hamilton, rightfully so, incredible player. I have clips of him that I'm going to pull up. Everybody knows who Kyle Hamilton is. If you're a average NFL football fan, you know the name Kyle Hamilton. But our Darius Washington is a huge part of what this defense has done. For how great that Marlon Humphrey play was, considering the interception the play prior, our Darius Washington, him sticking Russell Wilson, enabled the Ravens to continue playing with a lead and keep the Steelers, who don't have their number one receiver, to have to keep trying to chase you. That hit was incredible. He made big plays in this one, had some big tackles. Such a great defensive effort for Zach Orr to play Pittsburgh twice and allow 33 combined points. Awesome, man. This defense is awesome. The pass rush was coordinated. I just am really impressed. Again, this team got to the bye. They stayed healthy. That's all you can ask for. And everything they do on both sides of the ball and special teams, where they've been creating some plays, Justin Tucker redeems himself and hopefully gets some confidence back, hitting a 51-yarder. And everything is intentional. Everything has purpose. They're getting to the line. They're getting the ball out. They're getting everybody involved. They're dialing up pressures. They're not blowing coverages. Derrick Henry gets going. I mean, it was a freaking smorgasbord of anything you could want to see in a Ravens game. Zay Flowers is 100 yards. Mark Andrews is a touchdown. Isaiah Likely is a touchdown. Lamar makes throws. Everything you want to see. Turnovers forced defensively. Pressure. Roquan Smith makes plays. What did you not see from this game? They thwart the pass rush. The offensive line played their best game of the year probably. And TJ Watt definitely, going back through tape, he was definitely, maybe not even should have played in this game. He looked slow off the ball. He didn't look like himself. But guess what? I don't care, bitch. I don't fucking care. How many times have the Ravens been missing someone or had to play a COVID game against the Steelers? I frankly don't care that George Pickens and TJ Watt are out. Did that impact the game? Well, hobbled and out, but I loved it. I think it was a huge testament to this coaching staff, to how serious this team takes themselves. And I don't mean in a too serious manner, like a Kyle Shanahan kind of I'm a genius manner. They take shit seriously. They take this shit seriously, and that's all you can ask for as a fan. You can tell how much it means to guys like Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson and Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey and the way they carry themselves. Tylan Wallace, man, like Justice Hill, hope he's all right. He was making plays early in this game. He looked like a force. So it was so entertaining. There were no Steelers fans at that game. You and I were both there. There were none. I didn't see any. There was barely any towels. And of course, I have a horrible interaction with one, but we won't do that. But it was awesome to watch, and I'm just thrilled to see this team get shit done that has been bothering them and take care of business. And this, to me, says I'm not confident that any team in the NFL beats the Ravens. Like, I really am not. I don't think the Ravens are an underdog in any game they play. To me, if I'm setting the lines, I'm picking the Ravens as a 2.5 point. I'm picking the Ravens as a 2.5 point favorite in Kansas City. I'm running my mouth right now as a Ravens fan, probably, but I genuinely don't. What is missing from this team at this point? They rush the passer, they stop the run, they make plays in coverage. They run the ball well, they protect their quarterback, they make plays downfield. The quarterback is unbelievable. The special teams are coming around. What's the Achilles heel? I don't have it. So I'm thrilled with this game. I'm thrilled with this team. And I'm just fired up for the end of this season and for the playoffs. And it feels like the Ravens overcame anything that could have kind of swirled into a spiral and got it done. So it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it really was. I think that was the one we were waiting for. Like I hit on, going into in the preview. I mean, we talked about it. Like the exact type of thing that needed to happen was the defense needed to step up, which I think they did. This probably wasn't their best game of the season, but it was a solid one, right? Obviously, the Steelers, I think, moved the ball fairly well, but it was the turnovers, man. I mean, the Ravens go up 7-0 with that Isaiah Likely at the flag, a little touchdown there, wide open, does a Cam Ward celebration, which was awesome. But then the Steelers, they drive down, scoring a Michael Pruitt touchdown, and then they're driving again. And Russ, I think it might have been a third down, and he scrambles away. He does hits the B button, and he starts scrambling towards the end zone. In the end zone I'm sitting in, you're convinced he's going to score from that angle. And Ardarius Washington, who gets himself a game ball, I think largely because of this play, comes in there, lays the wood on him, gets the hit, and the defense comes away with their first turnover of the game. Really completely changed the tenor of it. The next score obviously would be Rashad Bateman, corner of the end zone. Tucker would tack on a field goal from there. Boswell would come back at 70-10 at one point. Then they tie it up, 5:14 to go in the third quarter. Cordarrelle Patterson, who, of course, he's still in the league. I totally knew that. Hadn't any notion that he, would have been retired or anything like that. But, man, they just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. Mark Andrews, 70-yard touchdown, wide open in the back of the end zone. The first touchdown that he's ever scored against the Steelers, which, again, that was news to me as well. Good timing, though, because that puts him up 24-17, I should say. And yeah, I mean, the Ravens, they're driving essentially to probably go and ice this thing. That's when Lamar throws the pick to Minka Fitzpatrick. And obviously that was just like a gut wrenching moment. I was sitting, I just sat down in my seat and just hung my head. I just felt like I had a stake driven through my heart. That just felt like the moment that you'd been hoping wouldn't be coming all day because he had thrown for 3 touchdowns. He had finally put together a complete, really good game against Pittsburgh. And ultimately, of course, there it is. But what do you know right after that? Defense forces the big second turnover of the game with Marlon Humphrey on the pick 6, a couple days after having his son. Congratulations to Marlon, who's, had an interesting journey here as a Raven. Great player. You've been making the point on X, the Everything app, that he could and should be in conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm totally with you. I think that's the type of play that could get him into that conversation, hopefully. And obviously that makes 31-17. They would tack on another field goal, 34-17, your final score. And yeah, I think it was a close game. I think Pittsburgh played admirably considering their injuries, but ultimately, this is just the type of game that, when all else is equal, it feels like the Ravens could beat the Steelers and, probably should have beaten them in a lot of different instances, but all else is not equal when you're dealing with Mike Tomlin and the devil magic that he's got on his side. It was not on his side on Saturday night. It felt a little bit more of the Ravens side, who put the ball on the ground a couple of times, but recovered them, both those fumbles, and then obviously had the interception, but then you throw an interception on the very next play for Russell Wilson. I don't know, man. It just, it felt like a culmination of, like I said, George Bailey just getting shit on his entire life. He tries to be a good guy. He tries to do the right thing. And ultimately it feels like it's not working out for him. And then ultimately it does in the end. feels like it worked out for the Ravens this time. It's a Christmas miracle, a Festivus miracle as we record this. And very, 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 very happy and very relieved, frankly, that it happened this way. So
definitely. And I want to pull up some clips here. You mentioned Ardarius Washington, Kyle Hamilton. I'm sure everybody's Lamar was so fantastic in this game, and I'll have one throw here. But this play by Ardarius Washington, just watching little Ardarius Washington, doesn't get drafted, too small, how much ground he covers, and just how confident of a fucking hit this was. All the way back in the end zone there, covers a lot of ground, confidently just gets downhill, puts his helmet on the football. Like, look how much distance between them. Look at where he is. Look at how he gets around this blocker, the change of direction, the confidence. He's eyeing it up the whole time. He's under control, and then just sticks shoulder and helmet right on the football the way you're taught. This changed the game. Like, the Marlon Humphrey interception was obviously huge. To be fair, like, Marlon Humphrey kind of got gifted that. Like, it was an iconic play, and I'm not taking it away from him. Ardarius Washington.
You know what? The Ravens could use a fucking gift once in a while against this team. Let me just say that about it. You can continue.
Definitely. But Ardarius Washington made that play happen. Yeah. Like, I don't know why my Apple bar has to come here, but that's fine. There we go. Made that play happen. Like, he took that play away. Took it. That's what we talked about. Take it from them. Go take the football away. And I'm going to say the Ravens also fumbled way too many times in this game and got pretty lucky there. They definitely opened it up. So this is the ensuing play after, out of their own end zone, which sparked it. This is 2nd and 8, backed up. The Steelers' vaunted pass rush is up in your face here. And they bring this delightful little short motion, which they kept using. And Isaiah Likely was such a sick, nasty route, getting the defender to turn his hips inside, going back outside, and then a dot. And then the pressures. This is what we hope for. Get to the bye, get your defense under control, and then start confusing the quarterback. So the Ravens are going to end up playing cover 2. They're going to drop out of this pressure look. Just a couple awesome plays, man. This defense really, really, really balled. That Lamar throw was great. The stunts were so clean. And we see a big sack here where we're going to watch Justin Madubuike crash inside, or excuse me, Kyle Van Noy crash outside. Madubuike stunts, and then Owe, it's really a 3-man stunt. Owe is going to loop all the way around to take away the escape lane. He's there. We kind of talked about that in the preview show, the way the Steelers will kind of trap you and then lure you into space. Beautiful, beautiful pressure here. Disguise coverage, huge stunt, only rushing 4, 7 in coverage, and still getting home. Kyle Van Noy is fantastic. He stuck Russell Wilson early in this game, gets another sack later on a collapsing pocket. This defense was on a mission. They are militant here. So you can see from the end zone angle, Van Noy is going to go outside. Madubuike going to loop around. Watch how efficient and smooth it is. There's no bumpiness. There's no uneven, falling down, tripping, hitting someone. Everything was timed. There's a cadence to it. It flows. Madubuike right there. Van Noy up, Owe right around to take it away. That's how you make a sack. So we see the Washington play. We see this beautiful stunt, kind of a 3-man game there. Travis Jones looping around the other way. That's a coordinated pass rush. That is how sacks happen. 4 guys with purpose, not just free rushing. Wanted to talk about Kyle Hamilton a lot. Look at the communication we see. This is just a stuffed run play to get to 2nd and 10. Watch how adamant he is on what he sees and how much communication he forces to Roquan. He starts communicating to Marlon. He is setting this defense, setting everything, still talking. And then guess who makes the play? Kyle Hamilton shoots the gap, 2nd and 10. Get them behind. And then look at him point at Roquan like, I told you, I got you. Here's another play by Kyle Hamilton that could have been a turnover, should have been a turnover, really. Another pressure look. They're all going to bail. Humphrey's going to fast a flat and try and cut off both routes. So they're really just going to drop out of this kind of cover 0, this pressure front, and watch Kyle Hamilton come up and lay the wood. He laid wood 4 times in this game. Watch him come up and hit Jaylen Warren. Bam! Knocks the ball out, forces a fumble. There's 4 Ravens. Jaylen Warren luckily was able to grab that ball. That's a turnover. Like, that is a straight up turnover. Helmet right on the ball. This is 3rd down. Comes up, makes a play. He's upset there. Comes down like a man possessed. Your boy, Jake. Your boy, Kyle. I mean, dominant. Wherever you put him. Free safety, nickel, linebacker, pressure. He got pressure on Russell Wilson.
A lot of talk about him lately, too, and a lot of credit, I think, owed to Zach Orr. I think you've talked about it a little bit for this turnaround on defense, and a big part of that is owed to Hamilton playing a more traditional safety role. Benching Marcus Williams, unfortunate as it is, I think obviously we both like Marcus Williams, in an ideal sense. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out this year. But moving Hamilton back there, like you see him on this play, he just takes away a lot of field with the range and everything. And that's to go on top of all the skills that we've already seen. And like you showed with him forcing that fumble, playing close to the line of scrimmage, he's just the ideal player, man. He is my boy. I love him to death. Catholic Guild, shout out to you. You make my life very difficult in many ways, but you really did me a solid on this one.
Man, deep safety, up around the line of scrimmage, wherever. Like, we're starting to talk about a pretty generational player. Like, he's getting in some rare air the way he's playing football and how consistent it is, too. It's every game. I want to talk about David Ojabo here, how cleanly he made a play here coming off a 2-sack game against the Giants. This is the pick 6. Watch how cleanly he stacks and then sheds and gets right down in Russell Wilson's face. Gets the pressure. Wilson's desperate. A terrible error by Wilson.
Well, and then Marlon's trying to pitch the ball to him there too. I don't know if you noticed that, but obviously David Ojabo very close. Marlon could have easily pitched him the ball there. That's what he was trying to do on that, but obviously unable to make that connection.
It was definitely not taunting. Certainly was not taunting. Not at all whatsoever. He really wanted to pitch it all the way across. Right. Just clean from David Ojabo. Such a militant performance, like against the Giants, against the Steelers. I feel like I'm watching Army or Navy when they're having a good year. Seriously, they come out, they get to the line of scrimmage, they are urgent. Every play has purpose. Every call Todd Monken has purpose. We have Mark in the comments here. Love a bit of rivalry taunting. Of course. The deal with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown and all that shit for fucking 5 years. Of course. Taunt a little. More, you got it, Marlon. You got a baby now. You're good, dude. Got two babies, really.
Didn't rock the baby, though. That's disappointing.
It was disappointing, but such a good defensive effort. Lamar Jackson, the big boy throws are getting out of control. The Rashad Bateman 3rd and 8 touchdown, the anticipation, the ball placement, had that likely play up. Smith throws to Mark Andrews. Just the calmness, man. Think about that last Steelers game on the road, how much more erratic it was to be able to get that off of your spirit against the Steelers. It feels like you took a monkey off your back, and I'm getting some flack. I mean, I really thought that the interception was an unnecessary play call from Todd Monken. I thought that it was an unnecessary throw just because Bateman does or does not stop his route, whatever. Everyone's trying to read his lips. Maybe that's what it was. To me, the bad decision was I have pressure in my face, and I'm just going to try and throw the ball real quick. And it ended up being a pick. Eat the sack, kick the field goal. It ends up turning out well. If Josh Allen does it, Lamar pinned the Steelers deep there, I guess. But, I didn't love that. But other than that, I thought he played perfect. It was a perfect game outside of one little, and it wasn't the end of the world at all, but the Ravens defense bails him out there. Tylan Wallace, every time he puts on the Barneys, the all purples, making crazy plays. I thought it was an awesome game. Even Malik Harrison, who his PFF grade was like a 25 or something like that. Even on that Cordarrelle Patterson touchdown, he at least dove. He at least got his fucking hand in between the hands of Cordarrelle Patterson. He laid out on that. And that's not his cup of tea, being downfield in coverage and man coverage. They got a mismatch and they scored, but he was I was going to pull up a screenshot, I didn't have time. He was full extension, putting his body out there, 250 pounds, a big fella, had his arm between there. So it was awesome. Awesome effort, pure effort everywhere, no matter what. Kyle Van Noy recovers the fumble that Ardarius Washington forced. He ran 45 yards on that play to recover that fumble. He's 34? I mean, effort on special teams, effort. The offensive line finishing plays. Roger Rosengarten, he's getting hot, man. In the run game, he's getting across guys' faces. I am just over the moon with this team, getting Isaiah Likely involved, Mark Andrews involved, Rashad Bateman, Flower. Every single player who touched the field made a play for the Ravens offense. All their offensive linemen made impact blocks. Their backs, both backs. Maybe Rasheen Ali didn't make a play, but he didn't fuck anything up, and he hasn't had a lot of snaps. So to me, that's, doing the best he can. I thought it was just an impact game. They were prepared. They knew the task at hand. They did not buckle. There was no panic. They did cough the ball up a couple times, which I think they're getting away with, but I couldn't be more impressed by what we saw on Saturday at M&T Bank Stadium.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I think it was just kind of clicking in all facets, and they also got some of the breaks that, like I said, they just do not get against the Steelers, and they just haven't. Like when you fumble those two away, guess what? You had 2 fumbles in the previous matchup. Steelers recover them both. They wound up being tied turning plays. Justin Tucker makes a couple of kicks in this one, obviously misses 2 in the previous one. And it just shows you, like, when that stuff happens and then you play up to, if not better than par, which I think they mostly did, and Lamar certainly did compared to how he's played against the Steelers in the past, where, like you said, it feels panicky, it feels rushed, it feels just kind of not himself. This one felt exactly like himself. It just felt like he was just playing against a regular team. You know, it just felt like there was no extra weight on this. It felt like there was no franticness or kind of, panic, like a, I'll go back to that word. I don't know, man. I was just calm. It was clean. And really, to me, I mean, the end of the game, when they're facing a third down, goes to the alert, goes to the check play, and just hits Zay Flowers down the right sideline. Amazing throw, probably one of his best of the year, and really iced the game for them. And I think really just spoke to the confidence that he was playing with in this game. And it was just nice to see, because like we said, we just needed him to settle in, play a calm game, just play like himself, play like he has been all this season. He managed to do that in spades, obviously notwithstanding the interception, which may or may not have even really just been a miscommunication, which is fine. And then obviously the defense continuing to play like they have, and then everyone else just kind of, like we talked about in the preview, it's not that complicated. Zay Flowers saying we just got to get in the end zone, make our kicks, just keep things simple. They did all of that, and it worked out. And when you do that, you set yourself up for a play like a ball getting thrown right to you if you're Marlon Humphrey and run it back for a pick six. You just got to take care of the simple little things. It's what the Steelers do so well. And if you're able to do that in turn against them, you got a good chance of beating them, especially when you're as talented as the Ravens are.
I mean, these throws, man, the Zay Flowers fade on the money. On the money. Confident, quick, low trajectory, paced, turning over the right shoulder, putting the ball on the right shoulder, almost broke it for a touchdown. Just beautiful throws. So accurate. Ball is whistling out of Lamar Jackson's hands. Clean pocket. Look at this protection. He gets the ball out pretty quick still, too. They try to kind of bring 5, just snaps it. It was just smooth. It was just confident. There was no, look at this. I mean, look at his mechanics here. Look how quiet his feet are. Hitch, get it out. Trust his guy.
He holds the safety there right up until that last second when he makes the throw, too. I mean, it's just, that's a professional throw right there.
James Bond, like I don't even know. It's just smooth. It's suave. It looks good. It looks clean. So many throws. The Bateman touchdown. I can't get over that throw and that decision and the timing of it. These are all the things that when Greg Roman's offenses stalled out, you hoped that the Ravens would bring in the right coordinator to empower more of these throws. Timing. The entire timing of it. We see Bateman down as number 1 here at the bottom of the screen. And just beautiful. This is third down. Ball's out right now as Bateman's hitting his break. And look where the placement is. Like, that ball is going to hit the pylon. It is just beautiful to watch Lamar Jackson work right now. He is absolutely lethal. It's almost like it's like I asked someone to write a movie or a TV episode of like my ideal game against the Steelers for what this Ravens team needed to do. And the Steelers did present a little bit of adversity. There were issues. You did fumble a couple of times, maybe get a little lucky. You did need to make some field goals. You did throw a pick in the red zone and just never wavered. It felt so bought in. Everything about it felt like it was a full team effort from start to finish. You can just tell that there was one goal and how clean it was. And getting that bye so late, I think maybe the Ravens have one more loss than they might have had. Maybe 2 more losses if they would have had it a little earlier. But having it late, I think, helps even more. I think it really is a blessing. And we get to get, I mean, speaking of Christmas and Christmas gifts, we get to get the hard knocks now from this game after they've been, sucking the Steelers off for the entire series so far. And then they come into Baltimore and get trounced. So this entire team is locked in, and I'm over the moon, man. I really am. Actually, we have Now, Baba here says, felt like this game was exercising demons. And what do we say? It doesn't need to. It looked like the Broncos. It looked like they played the Broncos earlier this year. And they just did their damn thing. They played their game. They took care of business. So, loved it, man. Loved it. Can't say enough. Can't say enough. It was a great time to watch. And the stadium was electric. All Ravens fans bought in. It was loud as hell. Stadium has been loud as hell this year. I dare say M&T Bank Stadium is back. Make the bank loud again. It is loud again, man. It feels good. It was fun to watch. It was fun to be there. The band. It was so fun there. The band is tripping over themselves in excitement.
Yeah, no, it was quite a scene. I was sitting in one of the end zones, the opposite one of you, the one that Andrews and likely scored in. So, yeah, man, it was a fun environment. Not a lot of Steelers fans, to your point, which is nice. I did have one kind of yelling at me as I was walking out. I don't even know like what they were saying exactly, but I don't know. They had this like kind of look in their eye, and I turned around. I was like, "Hey, you might still win the division, but not tonight. Have a Merry Christmas." And I walked away. I thought I kept it pretty classy on that. But yeah, other than that, like,
doing your best.
Yeah, no real interactions with any of them, which was nice. Those stupid fucking towels, you'd see a little bit of them dotted here and there throughout the stadium, but not a whole lot to report on that front, which was nice. And yeah, it's just, as Kevin Malone would say, it's just nice to win one sometimes. And the Ravens, it was nice to win one, and gosh darn it, did they need it, because they are now still in the hunt for the AFC North. I think in all likelihood, they're still going to have to win out here, which would mean a win on Wednesday at the Texans, then a win at home versus the Browns. Obviously, the Steelers have the Chiefs and the Bengals coming to Acrisure, so they'll have to close the season out in that regard. But overall, I mean, the Ravens, they haven't been perfect this season, especially in regards to trying to go out and win the division, but they've set themselves up here to at least make a darn good run at it. And you got to give them credit on that, especially going into that bye week. With all the questions a lot of people, us included, had after that loss to the Eagles, they've come out firing on all cylinders here. A couple of multiple score wins versus the Giants, obviously, which is just kind of a tune-up, and then versus a solid squad in the Steelers, who are still leading you in the division. But, gosh damn it, man, I had some questions, and they're acing the test thus far.
Certainly, at this point, they're about to go play the Texans, which we'll get into, but 6-3 against teams with a winning record. There's no more battle-tested team in football at this point. And now, quick turnaround, got to get on a plane, got to go play on Christmas again, on the road again. They've been there already, and it just feels like this team has we talked about scar tissue, and I was wrong. I said, does this team have enough scar tissue to, beat the Chiefs? I was wrong. They needed their Billy Cundiff. They needed their damaged loss. Even the Chiefs themselves lost in the AFC Championship on an offside before they could go on their run and win that Super Bowl to take them over the edge the next year. So it's a team that I feel so good about them at this point in time. And knowing that the Chiefs have to go, being able to be a Chiefs fan on Christmas for Ravens fans, that's going to be fun. That's fun. I did see
hop on the magic carpet ride. Just get on the magic carpet ride even for 1 week. It's got to be a great feeling. I'm very excited. Yeah,
you look elated. I'm happy for you mostly. Like most out of anyone, I'm happy for.
I'm going to break out my Eras Tour vinyl and just fucking vibe out. Have a couple Chardonnays. It's going to be great.
I think that might be a real thing. I think we might need to do that.
Yeah.
Get a little white wine going on Christmas around 1 p.m. Everybody if you're a listener of the show, let's have a glass of white wine with Taylor during the 1 o'clock game. Just pour yourself a little Sauvignon Blanc, a little Chardonnay, just have a nice little time, watch the Steelers, have to try to deal with the Chiefs. And we could go many directions. I guess we could start with Deontay Johnson, who was claimed by the Texans. And I know it's ironic because they play, but like Tank Dell just shattered his leg again. Dude, that guy, torn ACL, was shot, comes back, starts to make some plays again, and then just dislocates his leg. So, got to feel for him. The Texans desperately need a wide receiver. I would say them and the Chargers were the two teams that made the most sense. I think that was kind of getting tweeted out too.
Yeah, I don't think Deontay is going to suit up for this one. I think they just wanted to get him in the house. I don't even know that this is going to have much of an impact.
He might get there. I don't know if he's even. I guess he'll be there tomorrow.
He's probably getting there tomorrow or maybe like today at the earliest. So I don't know if it's going to have as much impact as far as they'd be hoping. With the playbook and everything. Who knows how well he even knew the playbook? Had to get that dig in there, of course. That's just what a lot of people were throwing out there. But yeah, I mean, it worked out pretty well for them. I don't know, Deontay, weird guy, weird experience. We'll see if he can help them out a little bit at all. But yeah, you had to feel for Dell, obviously, and Stroud in tears there on the field. It's just a tough sight. He said, Tank's my best friend. It was tough to see that happen. So yeah, I mean, it's brutal for them. Obviously, it is going to help the Ravens in this one a little bit. The Texans are just going to have to be big on Nico Collins, like you said, from here on out. Mixon was great for me in fantasy, but he's kind of slowed down a little bit recently. I feel like the run game hasn't quite been what they've wanted. And I think to your point, and as much as we love Louque at this time last year to be that next kind of offensive coordinator candidate, and then obviously
he is a Nico Collins merchant.
Yeah, this time 2 years ago, yeah. And then obviously with what he did last year with Stroud and with this squad, he certainly seems to have been a little bit of a more one-dimensional guy than people expected. I don't know, it just hasn't looked quite as good. People are saying sophomore slump with CJ Stroud. I don't know if it's quite like that. Maybe he just set expectations a little bit too high. But yeah, overall, I mean, if you looked at this matchup a month or 6 weeks ago, I feel like you probably wouldn't have been as confident as you are with the Ravens right now. I don't know. I think they're favored in this one by 5. The last I checked.
I'm looking at 5.5 point favorites. The total is 46.5. The Ravens are minus 245 money line. Ravens coming in third at points per game in the NFL, 30.1 points per game. The Texans 13th at 23.1. Ravens have a plus 103 point differential. That is good for 5th in the NFL, while the Texans are plus 20, good for 14th. Ravens 5-5 in close games, I believe defined as one-score games, while the Texans are 7-5. The average margin of victory for the Ravens is 12.5, which is 9th best. The Texans 8.1, 23rd. The Ravens plus 3 in the turnover differential. They are 14th. The Texans actually plus 10, 3rd in the NFL. Both teams commit a lot of penalties. The Ravens 31st with 119, while the Texans are 26th with 108. So two teams that have been penalized a ton. And as I go through NFL Pro here, it tells me that the key advantages in this game are the Ravens against a stacked box. The Ravens offense is number 1 rushing the ball against a stacked box. The Texans defense is number 30. The Ravens rushing outside the tackles is number 2. Key advantage, they are number 1 in the NFL. The Texans are 14th at defending that. Intermediate passing, the Ravens are number 1. The Texans are 7th. Rushing under center, the Ravens are number 1. The Texans number 5. The only key advantage out of the 10 that I'm being shown as the top advantages in terms of EPA plus success rate combined that goes to the Texans' favor is that the Texans are number 3 in intermediate passing, and the Ravens are 32nd in the NFL according to the combination of EPA and success rate there. So 9 of the 10 advantages the Ravens have that at least Next Gen Stats thinks. So the Texans stink at running the ball effectively, rushing from shotgun, scrambling, rushing inside, and against light boxes. The Texans are 28th, 30th, 31st, and 24th. The Ravens defend quarterback scrambles, running out of the gun, between the tackles, and with a light box at 2, 2, 7, and 2. So tall task for the Texans. I also think that the Ravens pass rush has really looked clean, especially after the bye the last 2 weeks. Like I mentioned, those stunts, the 4-man rush, the games they're playing. Texans offensive line still not a very strong unit overall. Against the Chiefs, they had a pretty tough day. Titus Howard, just going through PFF grades, 73.6. Jarrett Patterson, 67. Shaq Mason has struggled. Laramie Tunsil has not been playing his best football this season. He's had a really rough stretch over the last few weeks, allowing a couple hits, a couple pressures in each of the last 2 games. Still one of the better pass blocking left tackles in the NFL, though, ultimately. Just not a really stellar unit. They have Blake Fisher playing right tackle. Kendrick Green, who we did like a lot, has been a road grader in the run game, but has been horrific. Coming back from injury, he had a really rough game against Kansas City. So I just think this is a tough game for that Texans front as the Ravens look to get more aggressive. And losing Dell and having to do that on a short week, because what typically happens on a short week is that you kind of take your game plan from the previous game and kind of just add a couple extra wrinkles and kind of just use the same thing. And now you're missing your number 2 target. You're already out Diggs. Nico Collins is unbelievably good. Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, nice players. Joe Mixon, like you said, Jake, he was having a really nice year before some injuries kind of got into his production a little bit, but tough. I think this is a tough game for the Texans. I don't know that this will be a terribly high-scoring game, and again, I haven't really gotten to watch their tape. Their defense is freaky, naughty, nasty is the issue there. They've got my boy Will Anderson. They bring in Danielle Hunter. Derek Stingley's been balling out. They are without Jalen Petrie, who they lost, I think, about 3 weeks ago. Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia that was drafted this year. He's been balling a good bit this year as a rookie. They have Henry 1220, the Alabama linebacker. A lot of Bama boys. I like that Bama defense, Jake.
Of course.
Stingley.
What'd you think of your boy Alabama Jones the other day on College Game Day?
He looked great. I love that entire thing. That was
I love the visual of him getting mad at Shane Gillis wearing that hat. That's just a tough, like, if you're actually getting heated, like to be wearing a hat like that, it's just kind of like, I can't help but not smile at that. I already want to smile when I see Nick on my TV, but yeah, when I see that, I'm just big into it.
Whenever I see Nicky or if I see Bill Belichick on my TV screen in a non-coaching environment, my lips just start to extend a little, and I get a little smile on my face. I just love those two guys. They have such a funny way with words, both of them.
Right.
Danico Autry there, Mario Edwards, some other key players. Tim Settles had a nice year. They are without their I love it, headhunting linebacker who is suspended still for this game. I think that's a huge loss.
Is it Brian Cushing?
Yeah, my boy Brian Cushing. But yeah, after that Trevor Lawrence hit, they're without, I would say, they're kind of defensive leader in the middle there, and Jalen Petrie. So this Texans team, man, I like them a lot. I really do. I just feel for the injuries and the suspension right now. It's a lot, especially on a short week. Their injury report, I'm trying to pull up here. Let's see if I can grab it. They definitely have some guys banged up. I believe John Mechie, another Alabama guy, is banged up. Let's see, week 17 injury report. See if we can get that on their page here. But they have not had Shaq Mason, Juice Scruggs, Danico Autry limited. Looks like Cade Stover, John Mechie, Christian Harris all came back to practice. So they should be all right. They should be okay health-wise, but Tank Dell, a huge injury. For the Ravens, Nelson Aguilar, I believe, is not going to play in this one either. Jalen Armour-Davis, I think, will be out. Other than that, Daniel Faalele, Zay Flowers, and Justice Hill are the three that were kind of flagged. I would imagine Justice Hill is not going to play. That was really scary. He was out cold. Yeah, that was a wild concussion. He was knocked, and I hate that for him.
Landed, right on his head. That was not a good sight.
Really glad to see him get up and not have any neck injury or anything like that. And I hope he's okay. And, I've had a fair amount of concussions in my life, and I haven't had it that bad really, but I mean, I had one time a month later, like I would walk in from out of high school. I would walk into the daylight outside after I'd been inside for a couple hours, and I would just lose my vision and it would just go black, and I would have to like literally lay down on the ground or I'd fall down. Concussions can fuck you up, man. They really, really, really are weird. They can be almost nothing, or they can mess your life up a little. They can change you as a person a little bit. Knock some screws loose. It's a great reason.
Look at Dutch in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, he's a loose cannon. You love that
trolley. Yeah, that trolley incident, that really just took things in a dark direction.
It did. So John Harbaugh did comment. He said Daniel Faalele, Zay Flowers, and Tyler Linderbaum he expects to play. The Ravens claim in response to Deontay Johnson, it's not really in response, but the domino effect was, okay, they needed to waive someone to make room for Deontay Johnson. They waived Steven Sims, who returned a punt for a touchdown in Baltimore in the divisional round just this past January. Interesting, because Desmond King has been kind of filthy as a returner, but he keeps fumbling the football. It's like the ultimate.
He's looked so good. Yeah. And
he's had 3 dynamic returns at this point. He fumbles it on a 25-yard return.
God, he was a nice player for a lot of years too. I love my Iowa guys. It's just the week I hit on my my Keaton props, Judge Baltimore. Hopefully, I mean, this is healthy, good to go. I'm sure that just keep putting the money in, buy the dip, and then hopefully you'll come out on top. Maybe it's going to be like the Hawk Tua coin. It's a pump and dump.
You're spitting on that thing?
All right, y'all. I got to go to bed.
Oh, that's enough for me, y'all. Good night.
I got to go to bed.
I got to go to bed.
And then never to be seen or heard from again.
Yeah, then those lawyers draft up a tweet. Oh, my God. What a country. What a world we live in.
It truly is such a world. So these teams, man, no unfamiliar foe. Played twice last year, played in the playoffs. I'm sure the Texans have studied that game a lot, and it's just ironic. I feel like this Ravens defense is a lot different. They have Derrick Henry now. I feel like the Ravens are not the same team they faced. They have a lot of familiar faces on offense. Offensive line's been shuffled around a little different there. Probably a slight downgrade there in terms of that unit, but they just are coming off their best game. And again, that late bye, I mean, the Ravens got to plan all this shit out. The Ravens practiced on Sunday, which was crazy, but if they can win this game, then they get another long week. That's incredible for them this time of year. If they can get through this game at least healthy, like winning the division would be awesome. Getting a home playoff game, that's great. It's really hard to go on the road 3 times and win. We've seen teams do it, but that travel adds up. Don't get to rest and heal up as effectively as other teams do that get to play at home. But, regardless, if they can just make it through this game healthy, I'll knock on the wood for them. They can make it through. You get another long week right before the playoffs. You get to go play fucking Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the hapless Browns at home before that. So if they can take care of business, this is it. Like this game on Wednesday, it's on Christmas. All these things, it's a familiar opponent. They played on Christmas last year. They just had the bye. They're very healthy. The Texans are banged up. I like this situation for the Ravens a lot, and it's hard not to. And man, I think maybe my bias is that I said it before the season, but I think we might be looking at the AFC champ right now after the Steelers game, and they've showed us everything we've wanted to see. And they don't really lay eggs on primetime, man. They just don't do that. It's not in their DNA. It's not in Lamar's DNA. It's not Harbaugh, even before Lamar. They beat the shit out of the Dolphins, in the Kiko Alonso game. They'll whip your ass on primetime. They get up for primetime. Harbaugh always gets them up for primetime. He's like Cialis if it's at night. Get you up. Get you going. So, prediction, I don't know. Low scoring, kind of weird. A couple nice touchdown drives from the Ravens. I'm sure the Texans have something for them. I don't know, Jake. I'm gonna go 23-16, 23-14, 24. I'm gonna go 24-16. Somewhere around there. Texans have the ball at the end of the game, have to try to drive real fast. Can't quite do it.
I'm gonna go Ravens 24, Texans 21.
I think it's a little close guy there.
Yeah, I just think, short week for both teams. Ravens coming off an emotional win. Obviously, Texans are hoping to bounce back. They're going to be at home. I'm sure it'll be a decent crowd there. I think they'll find a way to keep it close. The Ravens defense, they look good against the Steelers. They also did give up some long drives. So I'd like to see a little more sustainability. I'd like to see if you can shut them down a little bit better. I think that would be good. Just based upon what I've seen, I'd say they can manage to score 3 touchdowns out of this thing, but the Ravens offense largely keeps it rolling. Field goal winds up being the difference.
I'm amending my pick to 25-16. I want the record to show.
Okay.
25-16.
What's the impetus for that?
I was just pondering through. I think the Ravens are going to force turnovers. I think Stroud is a little. I think he has to I don't know. I don't know how to put it all into words at once. The Texans aren't in a desperate place. Their division's locked up. They're getting their home playoff game. They just lost Dell. They probably need to try to involve Mechie. Johnson's on the way. I think their bye week was a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to try and see here. But the run game, like we said, has been kind of touch and go. Mixon, I could see having, a play or two here, but I think that they're going to get to bottle them up relatively. Oh, no, they had the week 14 bye too. Never mind, I'm completely wrong. Both had the same bye. So they had a late bye too. But I don't know. I think it's just tough. God bless the Texans having to play the Chiefs and the Ravens within, 4 days on Christmas and on a Saturday and losing Tank Dell. That deflates you. I mean, watching Tank Dell get shot and tear his ACL, come back from that, and then watching your buddy go down like that, you want to play for him, definitely, but that can be deflating as an offense. You're like, God damn it. We just can't, Stephon Diggs, they lose. It's tough. I would be really impressed with the Texans if they can score. If they put up 23 plus points, the way the Ravens defense has been playing, I'll be really impressed with them. Nate Wiggins, got tested. Calvin Austin had that big reception downfield. Nico Collins they like to throw a lot of those bombs on the right side of the field, it feels like to me. So I think Nate Wiggins is going to have to do some battle with Nico. Nico Collins is a lot bigger and stronger, I will say, than Nate Wiggins and Darius Washington. So if I can see that, Roquan Smith talked about his hospital. If I can kind of see that being the situation, all right, Darius is over top. I can try and put one on the side.
Even if it's kind of just what like AJ Brown did to them a little bit against the Eagles, I could see that turning into a concern. Yeah,
getting the ball out quick. I think that's the key for the Texans. I would like to see CJ Stroud if I'm a Texans fan, I want to see CJ Stroud get the ball out really quickly. Fire. Don't let the pass rush start to feel themselves. The shots need to be worked on. I don't think you want to come just tough because you don't want to you have to sustain a drive. To beat the Ravens, to me, right now in their current form, you have to sustain drives early and score. You need to have like 10 points out of 3 drives in the first quarter into the second quarter. You don't want to play them from behind. Their defense is in a good spot. Henry running. I mean, their pass rush is ferocious. I love Will Anderson. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, both way better as pass rushers than they are as, setting the edge. And they're not these kind of, it's not like Alex Highsmith is a 260-pound dude, like a little bigger, a little more stout. It's not Cam Jordan. It's these kind of, 6'3", 6'4" pass rushers that are twitchy, and they can make plays against the run, absolutely. But they're not like shocking Pat Ricard back into the backfield, right? So I just think it's a tall task. We know the Ravens are a bad matchup for them in ways, and they have less on offense. Like their offensive line's not substantially better. Mixon is an improvement from Singletary, probably moderately. And I don't know. I think it's tough trying to have to adjust. Like Mechie's going to have a day. Dalton Schultz, you have to rely on him. I was saying from the Steelers game too, why the fuck don't they try to target Pat Freiermuth ever? He's a big dude. Like, why does he not get 10 receptions ever? Or 10 targets ever in a game? He was mad. Like Darius Washington, I've talked about him a lot.
Well, I'll never forgive Russ for ending Jimmy Graham's career the way that he did. I mean, just brutal stuff. One of my favorite players, Jimmy Graham, at the time, and just goes to Seattle, and that's the end of that.
Juice Scruggs and Shaq Mason both expected to be out here. We have from my good friend Judge Baltimore.
Also, Steven Sims. Ravens claim him off of waivers from the Texans, so they kind of traded player for player essentially there. Steven Sims going to wear number 18 at the wide receiver position for the Ravens, which not cursed at all with Deontay Johnson, Jeremy Maclin. Who else is there? DeAndrew White recently. Yeah.
Great point from Killicam here. Yeah, Russell Wilson hates throwing over the middle of the field.
Rashad Perriman. Yeah, no, he's not. Russ has not been a big tight end guy. That's kind of what I was driving at there with.
I would be remiss to say as well, Jake, that Marlon Humphrey pick 6 happened very shortly after they turned the lights off and started firing up the drum kick.
That's you got some things to answer for on that.
I'm scapegoating I'm erasing myself from any fault here by saying that Marlon Humphrey broke the curse.
Okay.
That was needed. If that's going to be the thing for the next 10 years, if that's the new Otis, all right. I think Marlon Humphrey broke the curse. They broke the curse of the Steelers, giving them issues. They broke the curse of, I want my little thingy here. There we go. They broke the curse of the Metallica and the Maryland flags and the lights in the fourth quarter almost instantly broke the curse. So love that. Shout out to Eric Weddle for his performance as well.
Yeah, love Eric Weddle. He was a fun player.
So Jakey, I think we have the Ravens taking care of business, 11-5. Steelers Chiefs 1:00 before. Browns week 18. The Steelers might, even if the Steelers manage, George Pickens comes back. He's been doing his deer antler spray and his beaver tranquilizers, getting that hamstring back up to speed. And God damn it, Bernice. Even if they get George Pickens back up to speed and win this game, I mean, Ravens fans do want to see. Everybody keeps saying the Ravens don't want to see the Bengals. The only way the Ravens would see the Bengals would be in the AFC Championship, because the Bengals would have to go in as a 7 seed. then they would play the Bills, and then they would play, like, if it goes Chiefs, Bills, they're going to go to Buffalo, who they just beat in the playoffs, and then they're going to go to Kansas City if they beat the Bills. So they would have to beat the Bills, beat Kansas City, then come to Baltimore. Talk about slaying dragons. That would be a hell of a run for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the boys. But if the Bengals beat the Broncos, they are highly motivated to play the Steelers hard in Week 18, which they could be anyway, just to spoil their season, whatever, go out on a high note. Zach Taylor kind of maybe coaching for his job, showing he can be competitive, all that shit. Burrow at this point is what I would imagine he has the Bengals single season touchdown record for passing touchdowns already, right?
Probably this year, if not already before it.
I would imagine that he set the record this year, and he could end up, shit, man, Burrow could end up with like 47 touchdown passes this year. I'm not shocked if he throws 3 against Denver and 3 against the Steelers or something like that. So Broncos need to die. Chiefs handle business. Chiefs fan, number 1 Chiefs fan, Jake Louque. That's Louque there. And then Ravens win, man. Let's manifest destiny. Let's see this Ravens team enter the playoffs white hot, get a home playoff game, and then be the team that nobody wants to face. I can feel that. I feel it. It's coming together. It's like that's like the fourth Thanos ring for the Ravens was yellow, and it was snapping the Steelers at home. The next is your red Christmas ring, and then a home playoff win in the wild card. You're fucking rolling, and nobody wants to play you.
This team can beat anyone. They can also beat themselves. They're always capable of that. So I'm encouraged.
I'm gonna knock on the wood. I don't think they do that again this season. I do not think they beat themselves against this year. I think somebody's gonna have to beat them. And I think the only team that give me all the shit you want. I think the Ravens are a bad matchup for this team. The only team I think that can take it from the Ravens is the Buffalo Bills. It's the only team in the AFC I think that can take a game away from them, even if they play well. So I think it has to be them.
Yeah, they're going to be a tough out. And yeah, some amazing arm punts going on too, which is great with that team. It just seems like they're always doing the right thing. So yeah, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, in the meantime, I'll be rooting for the Ravens with a fervor to go and win this division at what is probably going to have to be 12-5. It's pretty crazy. But you know what? I got to sit back here as we go into this Christmas holiday, and I got to give this team a lot of credit because after that 0-2 start, I was down in the dumps. I was picking this team to be 10-7. They could still wind up at 10-7. Who knows? But overall, man, I don't know. It looked like the cracks were showing. The fissures were showing a little bit there early in the year, but they have bounced back, and I've got to give a credit to Lamar Jackson, who gives you a 10-win floor pretty much every season. And I think John Harbaugh as well deserves a lot of credit too. I know some people may not like hearing that. I've certainly still got my frustrations with him too, but just overall, those two guys are the foundation of this squad, and I give them all the credit in the world for getting themselves to this point after a rough start.
Shout out to the Ravens. Shout out to Dave Portnoy for coming into Baltimore down the street from me on Light Street and recreating what we're now calling It's a Wonderful Slice. Goes into Tiny Brick Oven right on, I think it's like 1017 Light Street maybe. I've eaten there a couple times. It's pretty good. And go check that video out on Barstool Sports. Brought tears to my eyes, right down the street, a place I've eaten at to hear their, how much they were struggling, and a place that likes to contribute to a notable cause and trying to feed the homeless and trying to support veterans, and a former veteran in a place that watched Cross Street Market go up next door and get all these liquor licenses and felt like they were kind of shafted. And one Dave Portnoy waltzes in there to rate a pizza and ends up walking out giving the owner $60,000. They were going to close on Christmas Day. On the flyer, it said it's made me tear up again. They're going to close on Christmas Day. It was so sad. And the guy's positivity in his voice and how excited he was, like the irony of all of that. You feel like the world's not random. So that was incredible, and definitely go check that out. But huge shout out to them, and really happy for Tiny Brick Oven getting to stay open, and to Dave Portnoy for helping them. Hey,
rich people, it's just that easy. Just that easy. Just help people in their time of need.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave. That's awesome.
It was awesome. Yeah, that's supposed to be the good part of capitalism. So shout out to Dave Portnoy for the funniest part of the Enzo. He goes, what does he go? Says, "I'm the nicest motherfucker," or something like that.
Yeah, he's always got a old tough guy Dave, Uncle Dave. Always got.
So just think about that. I mean, if you see somebody, it's that time of the year, guys. If you see somebody looks like they're freezing fucking cold outside,
playing a good game in surviving Barstool right now too, just hiding behind Rhea.
I haven't caught up yet. I have to watch, but
check it out. It's on right now.
If you see somebody standing outside that looks like they're cold, go buy them a fucking coffee or a hot chocolate. Like if you see somebody that looks like they're hungry, get them some food. It's fucking freezing out. Probably where you are, most of these people. Maybe you live in California, but if you see somebody that looks cold, take care of them. If you've got $10 to spare, see if you can get them something warm or a pair of gloves or just anything, man. It's that time of the year.
Totally is. That's a good message.
Well, I think that does it. You and I have the Ravens heading into week 18, hopefully sole possession, first place in the AFC North and able to get that home playoff game. And who knows, maybe get a second. Never know.
Yep, absolutely. Truly silly season with, this many games in this many days. And obviously, a lot goes into this one, but we're both excited about it, both predicting a win here. Thank you, my friend, for joining me to do this little pre-cap show, as we have dubbed it. Thank you all for hanging with us here as we kick off, the first, couple of days of Christmas week here, holiday week, whatever you want to call it. It's about to be Christmas Eve tomorrow. So we thank you if you've decided to spend this time with us doing so. If you liked what you heard, subscribe to us here on YouTube, comment on the video, like it, do all that good stuff. Follow us on social media at XM52 Podcast on X. And on Instagram, I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's the number 4. In the middle there, Brian at Barstool Banks, Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10, and Eric at EDITTI 22. Until Christmas night, we will talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Arrivederci.